Bloomberg has to be excused, Alderman Gilmore.
Yes.
Melanie Perm has to be excused, Matt Schuler has to be excused, and Tom Weber.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Ask for a motion to approve the agenda sent out.
So moved. Second.
Joe and Tom, those in favor say aye. Opposed, carried. New business, consideration with possible action on the collateral assignment of lease with the consent of ground lessor for property located at 100 West Walnut Street, Rivers Edge Apartments.
Unless I'm wondering, could we handle 1 and 2
Yes, I was
together?
just going to say we should do that.
I'll make that motion to take items 1 and 2 as the same action.
All right, we have a motion second by Gary to take numbers 1 and 2 on the same consideration. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Why is this coming up? I don't quite understand.
Well, because the Munns Corporation is refinancing their revenue.
Oh, I
bonds.
see.
So through the refinancing process, they'll need to have the RDA execute these documents. Vanessa has reviewed these, and there's nothing in there that differentiates.
There's a lot of reading in there. I didn't read it all.
That's why I had Attorney Chavez review these. And at reviewing these, we don't see any reason to not execute these documents in order for them to refinance their revenue bonds.
Now, are they paying us back now, or what's the status
They're
of
paying the
it?
Housing Authority actually a fee to use the revenue bonds. So
Okay.
we own the land, that's a separate lease agreement, but the Housing Authority actually,
Oh, so we have nothing coming from them personally?
no. I don't believe so. Do we have a lease?
The lease
a
agreement,
payment
there's a
lease?
long-term, there was a 50-year lease that was
Right.
signed. I think we talked, and I talked to Alderman Moore earlier about this, probably about a year, maybe 18 months ago. They were interested in actually acquiring or purchasing the property.
Well, I think I remember
Yep,
we
so we went through and we
discussed it,
looked
yeah.
at, all right, here's the lease, and here's all the payments that they'd have to make yet. They felt financially it wasn't in their best interest to take it off at this time, so I think what they did.
So
is
we
what
still own
they-
the property then, is that?
Correct.
Yes,
Yep.
we own the
What
property.
Okay.
do we get a year on the lease?
I will have to pull up.
I think it started at roughly 15 and it escalated every year. at
$15,000?
$1,000.
Yeah.
$15,000 a year and escalated at $1,000 a year?
And
Something
I
along
feel
those
like they
lines.
have the ability every 5 years to purchase the property.
Yes.
They
Purchase
purchase
the
Buy it out if
property
they want
every
to buy
5
it,
years.
lease.
Every
So-
5 years or prior to the expiration of the
Oh,
Yep.
so that's good.
Predetermined formula for the purchase?
fair market value.
Correct.
By
So-
the determination? Mine?
I think it's by assessment. You have the, I think it's been 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, so right now, the actual payment amount, the money due, so basically they pay twice a year, and we're at $23,000 a year right now. The payments go all the way through 2036 is our last payment. Within that, all in, they would have paid just over $1 million. But yeah, part of the sale, if they were to buy it, they would have had to pay the remaining balance, which right now, our balance, what they have yet to pay is $456,000. So they would have had to pay that plus market value for the property.
And this is in addition to the property tax then, or do we pay the, is there a
No,
property?
They take
tax?
care of the taxes, it's privately, the improvements are still assessed
Okay,
and on the tax rolls.
yeah.
So, with that though, they didn't want to go down that route, so they're back to, all right, how do we
So
continue
they're
to retain this? So they're looking at
Is this basically
refinancing.
subordination? So is that basically what we're doing, is resubordinating to the
We're
lender for them?
consenting to the assignment.
Okay.
So because they have a new
Because it's-
mortgager, the lease is being assigned to them and we put up a security. So if they default, then they have the right to step in and assume the lease.
Assume the lease payments, et cetera. Okay. Move to approve. Second.
So will you have made a motion, Joe? is it?
Made a motion to approve.
To consider both numbers 1 and 2 in consideration with the possible action on the collateral agreement, at least with the Rivers Edge Apartments. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. So we'll jump to number 3, consideration of possible action and purchase 8 properties from the Brown County using neighborhood enhancement funds. And I bet you that's Cheryl. Oh, no, I'm sorry about that.
That'd be me. And actually, I do have to apologize. We have, in the packet, you'll see, we would like to use neighborhood enhancement funds and community development block grant for the purchase. For the CDBG funds specifically, the Deborah Lane property. Other than that, right now, we have basically just 8 properties from the county that we would like to get control of. of which, there, let me see on the list, there are a few of them that we would be holding for future development. And we have 3 of them right now that we would have either buildable lots or properties we could rehab and sell.
I take it the county has agreed to the dollar amount?
Yeah, that is their asking price.
Oh, it's asking
So with that, that's what they have right now is their assessed value on those, what they're looking to get out of the property. So we're using that as our not to exceed number. We would like to still work with them to get that number, possibly negotiate that for a
Good,
lower price on some of those properties, so.
Okay, how does the county, is this foreclosures or?
Correct.
on
Tax
people-
foreclosure.
Tax
Yeah.
foreclosures.
Are
So
many
they're
of
all-
them vacant now, do you know, or?
Yes, yeah, they're all.
They're all-
They're all vacant?
Yep.
They're
Oh.
vacant lots or the structures are actually
Correct.
vacant.
Yeah.
There's only 2 that have structures on them, that's 1655 Deborah and 508 Kellogg Street. The only 2 with structures.
Oh.
the rest
They're
are vacant
salvageable,
lots.
those 2 structures?
Deborah is-
Deborah
Kellogg is in
Kellogg
question.
is, could not, possibly not be.
We haven't gotten inside of it. From the outside, it looks like it's probably tear down. But we'll assess that once we can get into it, so.
Sure.
What's the reasoning for CDBG on Deborah and not neighborhood enhancement on that property specific?
For that one, we were looking at using some of those funds to kind of spread out our concentration of low and moderate income housing.
Deborah will be a single-family owner-occupied property when it's complete, and this allows us to draw down some block grant funds this summer.
Is this a project that we will do, or will we put out an RFP to have somebody private come in and do it? Because I know we've talked about it.
We would do this one in-house,
Okay.
yeah.
How much money do we have available for these funds? What kind of balance?
Neighborhood enhancement, there's roughly about
800,000.
840,
Right.
I think. We haven't actually drawn down that 500,000 from the
That's the
state
state
trust
trust,
fund yet,
Oh,
so.
so we're in good shape,
mhm.
yeah.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of 8 properties in Brown County for up to $71,500 using neighborhood enhancement funds and community development block grant funds.
Second?
We have a motion by Gary and a second by Joe then to proceed with the purchase of 8 properties from Brown County using neighborhood enhancement funds. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And thank you for that. The reason, that's actually the primary reason for this meeting is because we were notified late with regards to
Right.
these properties and had a deadline to make this offering.
Was that right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good luck
By
negotiating.
tomorrow, so thank you.
Why did they give you a short deadline?
There was
There's a miscommunication between the county and the city as to
What?
what the process should be. So we're working on clarifying that process to make sure that we are going to be alerted and.
We'll know a little bit earlier, so we have a little bit more time to think.
Sorry, I had to.
all right, number 4. Update on property located at 227 East Walnut Street, 101 North Adams Street, and 108 North Adams Street. So
Okay.
Schumacher Building.
Shower and
And I assume Kevin's got all the information we need.
Well, so in short, at our last meeting, which I wasn't here, I believe already was informed by Milwaukee View that they were letting their option expire.
Yes.
That's number 3.
It's just, I think during my term, I think there may be 1 or 2 before that. Look, so we kind of want to take a step back and, really kind of evaluate what we'd like to do moving forward. RDA did hold off, or I guess, what do you want to say, reserve escrow, $300,000, up to $300,000 of block grant funding to go into that building for historic renovation. With that, we have not used that money yet. That still remains in, with the exception of, I think, did we use that for the schlepping? Or we used another,
We did use that for
okay,
schlepping.
which was like just under $10,000, basically to just patch up the roof. But we did not want to put money into the building for something that a developer would potentially undo.
Yes.
So, we still have that in reserve, but we're getting to the point where we need to make decisions about allocating funding for this year and then next year and using those block grant funds. So, we don't have to make a decision today. We probably will have to make one within the next month or 2, I would say, in terms of whether we're gonna allocate that 300,000
Right.
or put that back into our revolving loan fund. Which we're getting down towards the end, when he's doing an excellent job, that money is out in the community and circulating. So we have to decide where that's going to go. So with that, during the time that Milwaukee View had the option, We have been contacted or approached, I'll say, by 5 other interested parties.
5?
Yes.
Whoa.
So, which is good.
Handful.
Yeah, it's great.
And with that, we've just told them to wait. And look, we haven't done a full vetting in terms of the legitimacy of just like, oh, I'd like to take a look at it versus, all right, I've done some preliminary plans and it's ready to go. So with that, I think what we would like to do is maybe just hold off on rushing into an option with anybody at this point, and let staff kind of discuss their options, which another option may include, which may be something for us doing it, and us, RDA or the city leading the charge and putting together a development team. Look, we don't want to own it long-term, but
Right,
maybe we're the ones
right.
that need to put together that team to do it right. And I think some of the challenges that we've encountered, once some proposals have looked at adjacent properties and integrated those into the project, we don't control those. And so it's tough in
Yeah.
terms of, depending, if the project's dependent on those, we don't have control over that. And so just also looking at, if it's going to involve those, just making sure maybe those are locked up on the front end versus the back end. But then the other is just, trying to be more clear with the developers, like, you go through this in real estate and you are, where is as is? This is what it's at. They're 2 buildings, they're old, they're beautiful, but they got a lot of work, they don't have any parking, and that's what it is. And if we can work to make something work in those, that's great. But just don't have an assumption that it's gonna be more than what it is. So with that, I think we would like to come through and whether we come back in June or July with either some options, or if you'd like to pursue a formal RFP process. I guess we wanted to come here, and Cheryl, if you want to add anything in terms of the direction from you, what you'd like to see, how you'd like to see us handling this, move forward. Or if you just want us to tear it down, we can do that too.
Kevin,
You didn't hear me say that.
is 30 days enough for you, or do you need a little more than that?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that we would like to do is maybe even just look on the list of people who have contacted us, just saying, look, we're in the process of scouting out new ideas, and if you want to provide some preliminary information, allow us as staff to kind of discuss through and then maybe provide some preliminary recommendations, or even just like answer some questions about like what it is or what it isn't. And I think also to give us as staff a chance to kind of put something together if there's something where we see some opportunities, it might be worth us putting together that package.
I like the idea, yeah, that's.
We
that's
may
right.
be able to look at, a housing element that maybe is not all market rate, maybe it's mixed. A little bit of workforce, market rate together, we might be able to help facilitate that. We haven't really considered that ourselves.
Are those 5 people, are they locally, or
A mix.
it is?
Yep.
That's interesting.
How far does, my sense is with these developers that have come in and gone to it all of a sudden, they, from the exterior and the first walkthrough, everything, but then it becomes a daunting task to get past all of the issues.
Oh, yeah.
$300,000, how far does that go to eliminate that dauntingness of the development? And it's not it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but in that structure, does that get us to a point where it now becomes more palatable for investors? And understanding also, we understand that, our investment there, if we don't recover 100%, that's part of our investment.
Right,
Because our investment is long-term in the development. So
The money we have allocated
Yeah.
for block grant needs to be used on the building. It can't be used to acquire anything around it.
No,
But,
I'm talking about the
if we had
build-out.
some money that maybe could help, maybe acquire some things around it, that might be
Well,
helpful to us. But, 300,000 would allow us to, let's say if we decided,
It's too
we
much.
want to keep this building, we're
That's
going to keep it.
Wait.
No, it's 300.
It's 300.
It's 300.
300, okay.
But let's say we want to replace the roof.
Yeah.
Because we're like, look, we need to replace this roof to keep the water. We could do those kind of repairs. There's some window issues in the front that have been blocked in that, depending on how that works with historic tax credits, we might need to put the
What about
windows
the
back
floor strut? I
in.
know that used to be kind of a the floor
Oh, sure, the
elevations,
Yeah,
crossover there was kind of like third floors or.
right, because it's
10 floors.
actually, well, it's actually 3 buildings.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
yeah, the
Yeah.
floor kind of steps down, but
That's not an issue.
no, it doesn't seem like that's an issue. It's more just the roof structure itself.
Yeah.
is
So I-
failing, so.
Yeah, if I can
But
attest.
facade, we got facade issues too, right?
Right.
That are,
Some of the, like, architectural elements on the outside are deteriorating, and
Need to
Well,
be shored up.
the main thing is the roof problem, isn't it?
main thing is the
Yeah.
roof, yeah. If you,
Water,
if
yeah.
the report
Water.
that we had passed out at a previous RDA meeting, that was the main thing that was critical, coming up here probably
Right.
the next
Right.
year, was the roof.
Right.
Everything else was probably 5 years out, so, but the roof was the main thing, so.
And I wouldn't think you'd want to demolish it because one of the things that makes the project work is the historic tax credits. I mean, that's what the other folks.
It does and it doesn't.
Oh, really?
Depends what you have to do.
Right, and so I think that's one of the challenges that we would look at, and, you know, going down the historic tax credit route, you know, provides, you know, that extra 20%, I mean, or 40% if you do both the state and the federal. But what it does then is it limits you on the, I guess it's the furniture piece, the one on the corner,
Yeah.
to not having any windows on that second floor.
Oh, geez.
So now it makes you, or just those very small windows, so now it makes you kind of struggle with, okay, if we're gonna use the tax credits, that's great, I got the financial there, but now
Right.
at use, there's only so many uses that you can have where you have, you know, 7,500 square feet and basically 4 little small windows. So then you turn around the other way and, okay, well, you don't do that. You know, what are some of the other types of uses? And we've struggled with, look, rents in Green Bay just generally are low. So in terms of the money you have to put into a building and to be able to recoup that in a rent or a sale, there's a gap. But then also from the retail nature, look, we're still working on issues where you don't necessarily have to park outside your door for everything. I mean, I think you guys can attest to that. We've got a lot of successful businesses downtown where you don't have to do that. But for some,
it's just getting used to it.
it's just getting used to it, and that's, you know, caused some to stumble there. I think, you know, and this is just me speaking from staff's perspective, we would like to see the buildings retained. We may not be able to retain them maybe to SHPO standards to get the historic tax credits, but at least, you know, if the integrity and the general size, scope, architectural features of the building could be retained, that is something that we would advocate for.
And it allows the developer a lot more freedom in what they can do with it.
Right, if you want to take the inside and just, you know, gut it out and make it open space or clear the floors, I think we'd be okay with that for I guess, us, and in terms of its historical value, in terms of the fabric in the community, it's the facades and the location there, and so long as that substantially remains the same.
So, you know, Cheryl, you went totally the opposite direction I was hoping you were going to go in when you mentioned.
I didn't say condos.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And I just, you know, there seems to be just a never-ending no on that type of development, which helps our tax base, because the space is a lot better as a condo than it is as an apartment. And we've had a lot of apartment development. I mean, is there a point in time, is there a stage that we look to somebody? Yeah, and I know, and that's an in and out thing. I mean, it can be very long-term to get out, but that's an in and out thing for the developer and the development. And then we have basically a total equity investment in that corner. I mean, is it any way that property, I know it's not huge, but.
Yes, I mean, and that's one of the things for
No,
us.
I don't have
to-
the money, I'm sorry.
No, oh, yeah, yes. Which floor would you like?
Which floor would you like?
And I think it's more on the funeral parlor piece of it, but that is one thing that we would also like to explore in terms of just the housing options that are out there on the table. And again, I mean, maybe if we need, as a city, to take more of a leadership role in picking the pieces of like, this is what we want, and we go out and put that development team together. I think some of these that have shown interest too, again, we've talked about the challenge of this project. It's too big for just like a mom and pop kind of developer, but it's all too small for, you know, a big company to come in. But if we can maybe pick a few mom and pops together to get on a right scale, maybe we're the ones that are the glue that hold that together.
That's,
Well, and then housing above somehow.
sure.
Kevin, is that building on the historic register now, or?
We are in, I have to talk to Jason, we are in the queue, I believe, for approval. I don't think it's, to look again, if it's on. We've got our application materials in, I don't know if it's had, you know if Jason has, I don't think it's had its hearing
No,
yet.
it hasn't.
Which just quick aside, Whitney School, they have their hearing tomorrow for approval.
Was that right?
Register.
Oh, that's
Yes.
good.
Yep, so that's very good. But we've got all our things in. We also have our application in for the East Side Historic District, so if it didn't get in through that, it would
Yeah.
be covered under the East Side Historic
Historic
District.
District. That's months out, though.
So the bottom line, you'd like to have some time to flush this out, what would be the best alternative and options to proceed?
Correct, with just, I guess, some a head nod that you would be okay with also us city staff preparing maybe another option as well. As part of that process, that we could pitch something as part of that.
You don't need any action on this.
At this
Okay.
time, just direct staff to
Right.
Proceed as you
work on it if there's
decide.
something that's specific.
Well, let's give them
timeline.
2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a fine idea, Kevin. We gotta keep the ball rolling on this, and that's important.
Again, look, it's pretty clear, I didn't think it was gonna make it through last winter. It did, of course, I was wrong, so I apologize on that. But I just, look, I think before the next construction season goes, that we have to make a decision,
Yeah.
again, on that roof of, we gotta make some improvements, or we gotta get a private party in there
Mhm.
doing that. Every winter we go, the harder that thing is gonna be to keep.
Good.
Water will kill that building.
Yeah, water does a lot of buildings.
And there is movement in the building, because even the repairs that we did, they have to make some adjustments still, so it's moving. There's
In and out or up and down?
Sinking?
up and down, yeah, so.
Generally not up.
Was there
What's
any,
down? Yeah.
you have information, or do you have any words of wisdom for us?
Just, yeah. just
We
wanna
got your
make direct,
email yesterday, I think that was great.
Sure, are we done with, are you disposed of number 4?
Yeah, no, we've,
Yes.
Okay.
2 months.
Harry said he wants you to.
Do you want to make that a
Give us
motion, just
2
direct
months.
staff and come back?
All right,
by
well,
August?
I'll ask for motion and to instruct staff to report back to us on the Sharon Schumacher building for the July meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tom, Gary, second by Tom, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. How about a little update on the meeting the other night with the city council?
We had a meeting. We were there, it went well. So just, yeah, 2 quick project updates. I know we talked a lot about the Northland at that meeting. I think the mayor is pretty clear in terms of, look, I mean, we all want this project to move forward. I don't
Right.
think there's
Yes.
anybody who doesn't want the project to move forward. Again, I mean, it's our best interest, as staff has said all along, to get the project finished in order basically to secure our interest in that project, both the TIF funds
Absolutely.
and our block grant funds. With that, I think the mayor was also clear in getting this on the agenda for the June meeting in terms of we thought we would have some documents by now to approve, we didn't. But look, we have to agenda this for action, I think, and that sends a signal to the parties, that we really want to get moving on it. I think we're all hopeful that we'll have something beforehand. With that, just some of the things that were discussed, I think we have just recently, within the last day or two, some agreement with WIDA and CIG in terms of working with the senior lender and
What
them
is
being on the
CIG?
same- CIG is the Conservancy Investment Group. They're partnered with WIDA. They have $4 million into the project.
Okay.
They're ahead of us on this, and in terms of the capital stack. But it was a $2 million loan from WIDA and $2 million from CIG. Those went in
Okay.
together, and those went in at project closing. But to our knowledge, the senior lender and WIDA/CIG are on the same page in terms of where the terms are at. So once they can get those documents drafted in terms of that agreement, then it comes on to us in terms of what those documents are for the city.
Do you have an idea how long that might take you?
Look, I wanted it yesterday.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I think it's pretty clear, it's out there, it's till the 20th. Look, if we can get them next week, then we'll do something next week.
Right.
And one of the things, and discussed with the city attorney on, because they are tri-party agreements, the possibility that RDA and city council would meet either back-to-back or concurrently. I think there's an avenue for that, if I'm correct, for RDA and council meeting concurrently to approve
Yes.
the documents once we get those. And again, just to be clear, so we know what we're all voting on, we want to see the documents in full
Oh, yeah.
and knowing what we have to amend to move forward with that. With that, the other thing just that was discussed in terms of the management company, they were in town, and as was stated in the documents, they have to get approved by US Bank in terms of meeting obligations for the tax credit requirements, so they're going through that vetting process currently. And with that.
Is this a new management company?
New management company, that is correct.
Not the one in Portland?
Correct.
Yeah. Do we have to have a special meeting to sign off on this then?
We will, once we get the documents that basically say, here's what the new terms are with the senior loan.
Yeah.
We will have to have a special meeting that basically says, here's the documents that we have to amend, and here's what we're going to amend, and here's how we move forward.
Okay.
Are there more than lien holders? Is there more than the four obvious senior lenders, CIG, WIDA, and the city et al?
Yeah, I don't have the full list in front of me.
But there are the junior lenders.
One of the things that we would make sure that we, before we sign and say that we're in, that any outstanding obligations has to be satisfied before.
Sorry, I'm not really concerned with mechanic lien
Okay.
holders. I'm really equity, stakeholders.
You're talking about the equity stack.
Yep.
So in short, that there will probably be some additional money that the senior lender will have. It will go up from what it was before. But in terms of our position, we're staying the same in position. And also the equity or the amount in the hotel. As mentioned, the last appraisal value coming in at 33, some projections putting it as high as 44, 45. Our position, should things go to hell more or less,
Yeah.
we'll still be protected in
Sure.
terms of where we're at.
So we're 4 out of 4.
No, we would be 3. Senior lender, WIDA/CIG.
Well, okay,
Yes, they're tied
3.
than us.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at those as two separate.
Yep.
Okay.
So, we'll keep moving on that. The other thing I just wanted to update on, is the Cub Foods project. I did send it out in the report, but I did talk with the developer. Those leases are all secured,
Oh,
so
very
the new
good.
tenants
Very good.
for that will be PetSmart, Ross Dress for Less, and Marshalls. They are working, we'll be at Plan Commission next week doing a PUD amendment for the signage. That's all in a PUD out there for signs, so they'll be adding some to the pylon sign that's out on Mason Street and some signage for the building. But those will be ready to be starting construction in the next few weeks here.
Very good.
I thought I saw you, Marshalls, were you?
It said Marshall's, TJ Maxx.
Oh.
Marshalls at TJ Maxx, but I mean, same.
Oh, they're gonna put in a TJ, or it's gonna put in a Marshalls?
They're putting in a Marshalls, but it's the same
Yeah.
parent
It's the
company.
same parent company.
Just a different label.
But we don't have Marshalls here. and I just-
Correct. No, it'll be the first one up in the region.
Okay, anything else?
I got one quick thing. This morning's paper had audit, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation failing to track job creation. Of course, we have our own revolving loan fund. And I just want to make sure that we are following up on our job creation with almost all of our loans. So,
Absolutely, that's, in fact, part of the deal with the Northland is job creation, and
Okay.
we're tracking that. We work
Okay.
with them directly.
bottom line, we're tracking it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, all of them.
And they are,
Yes,
yes, yes.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
That project and all the RLFs, I know Wendy
Yes.
cracks the whip on that to
Yep.
make sure they file their.
A lot better.
Yes.
All right, we'll adjourn the meeting. I'm gonna compliment everything. It was in 29 minutes. I think that's a new record. Because the records.
Oh, super record, thank you.
Did a good
All
job.
right. Good. Excellent, thank you.
Is
You can't
that
leave